Good morning everybody, and welcome to this inaugural day of Paris Infraweek 2024. We're going to start the day shortly, but first of all, let me just give you some piece of information about what exactly you can expect today and during the whole week. Now, we do have over 3,000 professionals that are joining the whole week of events. This is not just today, this is inaugural day. During the whole week, the team has prepared the agenda, which is absolutely packed with sessions and the events and the award ceremonies. You all have the program. If you don't have it yet, you can pick it up here or you can pick it up downstairs, and you can have all the information and details about that. There are going to be around 100 conferences, roundtables, social events, business meetings that are organized from today all the way through Friday. Now, on the inaugural day this year, we're addressing the role of infrastructures in the global decarbonization from different perspectives and viewpoints. My name is Sasha Vakulina. I'm with Euronews, and I'm going to be your master of ceremony today. Now, today, not to forget the hashtag for all of you to remember it at all times. This year, we put it right on stage. If you do want to connect and tweet and post, please not tweet X. You've got to use that one. It's going to be in front of you during the whole day. And do not forget the infranet.link. Now, this is a platform. This is a business-oriented networking platform dedicated to professionals working in infrastructure. If you have been with us last year, you might remember it. If you have not been, you've missed a lot, but you still have the opportunity to do it this year. Now, the mobile app is also now available. Join the infra community to network. This is something that you would want to do before you're going to have a few coffee breaks and the lunch break later. Well, you can already prep your networking. And without further ado, let me just introduce the opening addresses. And the first one is from Antoine, ARMAND, French Minister of the Economy, Finance and Industry. Please, your attention on the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests from all around the world, welcome to Paris. Welcome to Paris Infraweek, and thanks a lot for contributing to this important event. I wasn't, as you can see, in a position to be there in the flesh, but you know how important infrastructure is to my government and to myself. Investment in low-carbon infrastructure is crucial if we are to make a successful transition to a sustainable, climate-friendly economy, both in France and all around the world. And this global effort, encouraged by initiatives such as the Paris Agreement, is essential for a sustainable future in both developed and developing countries. In order to achieve our objectives, our targets of carbon neutrality by 2050, we estimate that France will need to mobilize around 60 billion euros of additional investment each year, combining public and private funding. This effort is not just an environmental issue. It is also a great opportunity to reindustrialize our country by attracting the investment needed to develop clean technologies. You know it, France, with its position as the most carbon-free country in Europe, offers an ideal framework for investors aiming at sustainable growth, while benefiting from the support of European initiatives such as the EU's Green Deal and the fundings that are related to it. This positioning enables us to be attractive while encouraging the ecological transition, the green transition of our economy. Today, projects that respond to the vision benefit in France from a legislative and economic environment that is unique on a global scale. In the energy sector, for example, a sector that is particularly important to the government, we've set ambitious targets for the installation of additional solar, wind and nuclear capacities because we don't oppose the low-carbon solutions in France. And these targets provide visibility and strengthen investor confidence in the sustainability of our energy transition strategy. The energy renovation of public buildings and the development of sustainable heating networks are additional initiatives to create an increasingly green infrastructure ecosystem. In addition to these commitments, as you know, France has already mobilized massive investment for new infrastructure through the France 2030 plan in particular. And accompanying measures are now planned for the networks of tomorrow. CO2 capture and storage, CCUS projects, the development of the hydrogen sector, and the rollout of a vast recharging network for electric vehicles. Dear friends, dear guests, let's work together. Let's work together to build an economy that is resolutely focused on the future. And France is ready to take up this challenge. We are counting on you to make this ambition a reality. Thank you and have a great week in Paris.
And we're going to continue our opening addresses. I'm going to just quickly remind you that everything that is happening today during the inaugural day is available both in English and in French. And if you prefer the translation, you can just pick up the headset, which is available during the whole day. And the translators and the team are helping us to make sure that the information is available and understood and comprehensive for everybody. It is my great pleasure now to invite on stage Bertrand DUMONT, Director General of the Treasury, French Ministry of the Economy, Finance and Industry.
Merci, Monsieur le Président d'EUROPLACE, cher Augustin, Mesdames et Messieurs. C'est un plaisir de vous retrouver aujourd'hui pour cette 8e édition de la Paris Infraweek. Good morning to all of you. It's of course a pleasure to welcome you here today for this 8th edition of the Paris Infraweek, the annual meeting of infrastructure stakeholders. Let me first thank Augustin, his team, Paris EUROPLACE, for their effort in organizing this event, as well as the team in the Treasury. Thanks, I think, to our collective effort, Paris stands today as a hub of expertise, of know-how, and financing, making Infraweek the essential meeting for infrastructure asset class. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all our international participants, whose number grow each year, and especially to the delegation from Morocco. I've seen here the head of the Mohamed VI Investment Fund, from Madagascar, who are preeminently represented this year, and it's of course a pleasure and an honor to have them with us today. Clearly, the sequences of recent climate disasters, and of course our thoughts are with our Spanish neighbors, demonstrate nearly on a daily basis the urgency of accelerating the ecological transition. France will always be at the forefront of this fight, as Minister Armand just reminded us. Infrastructure, at the backbone of our lifestyles, represent significant sources of greenhouse gas emission, and yet are also a solution for decarbonization. They are at the very heart of the coming transition. This is precisely the focus that has been chosen for this 8th edition of Infraweek. Infrastructure at the core of global decarbonization. Until now, let's be frank, the public sector has led this transition. In 2022, 20% of public investments were in low-carbon assets, representing about 22 billion euros, compared to the 13% of private sector. These public efforts have led to significant successes in France, typically in renewable energy, with unprecedented growth in solar power. In 2023, 3,000 gigawatts of new solar capacity were installed, making a 30% increase over previous years. In wind energy as well, in electric mobility, where the milestone of 1.5 million electric vehicles was surpassed by the end of 2023, with more than 100,000 charging points already in place. In building energy efficiency too, with over 2.3 million homes renovated thanks to MaPrimeRénov' initiative. More importantly, these efforts are beginning to yield climatic results. The significant reduction in territorial greenhouse gas emission for 2023, estimated at nearly 6% compared to 2022, aligns with the pace needed to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, which is obviously a major success. The public sector will continue, as Minister ARMAND just clarified it, its investment effort in the coming year. We are certainly on the right track, but much remains to be done, to say the least. To meet France's climate goal, low-carbon investment will need to increase by 110 billion a year until 2030, compared to 2021. For the energy sector alone, the investment needs for decarbonization are estimated to an additional 16 billion euro per year. Meeting this challenge now falls to the private sector, to investors, to infrastructure managers, entrepreneurs, industrial leaders. They need to amplify their effort. France had a long-standing tradition of collaboration between private capital and public service objectives. It is no coincidence that the Eiffel Tower, as some of you might know, was built more than 100 years ago at the public-private partnership and was largely financed by private funds. To encourage private capital to contribute fully to decarbonization, France has built an exceptionally attractive investment framework. Let me take 3 examples. First, France has implemented a green industry tax credit in the 2024 finance bill. Effective since January the 1st, this tax credit subsidizes the domestic production of solar panel, wind turbine, heat pumps, batteries, and the primary component and material needed to manufacture them. This is currently one of the most incentivizing measures in Europe to support green industry. Second, public building energy renovation required significant investment. 142 billion by 2050 for state-owned building alone. To support this, a new contract established by a recent law allows private entities to finance the energy renovation of public buildings. Third example, an incentive framework for private investments also means efficient administration for obtaining the necessary authorization. And I know this has been a point of attention, not to say a point of concerns for the last year. The recent green energy law, therefore, grants a special status to industrial projects of major national interest. These projects benefit from an accelerated and secure state process for required preliminary procedures covering urban planning, protected species exemption, and grid connection permit. The goal is to divide by 2 the time required to establish industrial sites in France. This is just a couple of examples that have enabled France or helped France to maintain its position as Europe's top destination for foreign investment over the 5 last years. To meet climate change challenges, the quantitative level of green investment is critical, but we must also deliver differently. New sectors are emerging of the transition. This is why the government has equipped the France 2030 plan with 54 billion over 5 years. These investments aims at boosting industrial competitiveness and future technologies. It seeks, in particular, to foster the emergence of a French supply of small modular reactors, SMR, by 2035, to develop the use of green hydrogen and renewable energy, and to produce close to 2 million electric and hybrid vehicles in France by 2030. France has set a target of capturing 4 to 8 billion tons of CO2 annually by 2030 and 30 to 50 million tons by 2050. And for this, developing CCSU technology will be also extremely important. Investment in infrastructure in Europe today also means adapting existing structure. On an heavily developed continent, we must repurpose for new use and adapt to climate change that is already unavoidable. I would like now to conclude with a couple of simple words so that the essential is clear, if I may say. France has set ambitious decarbonization goals, representing considerable investment opportunities, and we welcome investors, bankers, industry leaders to achieve them. Together, we need to commit to build a sustainable, decarbonized future. France is ready to meet this challenge, and of course, I hope that the works that you will have today and during all the week will powerfully contribute to many investment projects to that end. Thanks a lot, and have a very nice week.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And we're going to continue. And for the opening address, it is my great pleasure now to invite on stage Augustin de ROMANET, Chairman, Paris EUROPLACE, Chairman and CEO of ADP Group. Please, the floor is yours.
So, good morning, everybody. Monsieur le Directeur Général du Trésor, dear Chairwoman, Chairman, dear friends, as Bertrand Dumont just did it, I'm delighted to welcome you for this 8th edition of Paris Infraweek. The steering committee of this week has decided to dedicate the 2024 edition to infrastructure driving global decarbonization, to contribute to the global debate on mobilizing private investments and financing solutions where states must play a pivotal role. According to a recent report, achieving net zero emissions will require an annual investment of more than 9 trillion per year until 2050. A significant increase from the 3.5 trillion, which is the current level of investment. This includes support for emerging technologies and solutions in various sectors, such as energy, utility, transport, digital infra, social infra. For example, the energy mix will increasingly incorporate technologies like clean hydrogen, battery storage, and carbon capture, utilization, and storage, CCUS. Many countries worldwide have set strategies to decarbonize their economies. In Europe, as you know, this objective is central to the European Green Deal, with binding targets under the European Climate Law. In France, reforms are underway. The implementation of the National Low Carbon Strategy, the National Climate Adaptation Plan, and the European Fit for 55 package, all these reforms place infra at the heart of decarbonization efforts, raising a key question: how do we mobilize private capital and investment? Beyond these objectives, the current macroeconomic climate and public deficit trends are sharply impacting investors' decisions and risks assessments. Global infra fundraising declined in 2023 from its 2022 peak of 153 billion, with a more modest rebound in 2024. According to infra investors, 463 billion is currently being sought by 500 funds in the market. On the investment side, 2023 was a challenging year for infra deals. Financing difficulties led to a sharper than expected drop in both deal count and size. As a result, the consolidation wave that began in 2022 has continued through 23 and 24. In this context, now more than ever, we need clear strategies from governments and public authorities to pave the way for new business models that facilitate private investment in infrastructures. Several policy instruments can be used, such as adopting a clear long-term vision and strategy, offering stability, deploying guarantees and financial support when the technology or solution is not yet mature and providing fiscal and regulatory incentives. I should emphasize in front of Bertrand DUMONT that it is especially important for all the hydrogen industry. All the CEOs of hydrogen companies are requiring such a stability. These challenges, shaped by the current situation, will be discussed throughout the 2024 Paris Infraweek from a global perspective. More than 50 roundtables and side events will feature over 200 expert speakers and bring together more than 2,500 European and international market professionals, both in person and virtually, confirming that Paris Infraweek has gained momentum over these years. I would like to warmly thank our partners, both French and the growing number of international market players. Some of them are global leaders, investors, banks, arrangers, advisors, and I thank them for their support and contribution in making this event one of the most important in Europe, gathering the entire infra and financing and development ecosystem. The scope of Paris Infraweek also extends to emerging and frontier markets. In our 2020 Infra report, we called for reinforcing blended finance to address the financing gap in emerging markets. Blended finance is gaining momentum today, helping to close the annual 1 trillion climate financing gap in emerging countries. This requires the mobilization of public, private, and non-profit organizations to develop large-scale projects that facilitate international investment. I would like to highlight a few initiatives dedicated to emerging markets supported by the Paris Infraweek and the Paris infrastructure ecosystem, such as Fast Infra, a platform designed to facilitate investment in sustainable infra. Second, the opening of the Global Emerging Market Risk Database, chaired by IFC World Bank, and involving 25 multilateral development banks and development finance institutions. This is also an opportunity to emphasize our partnership with IFC World Bank to enhance financial expertise through our capacity building program. Welcome to our 4th promotion this year. Let me underline that the momentum of Paris Infraweek is also fueled by our ambition to make Paris one of the world's leading capital for structuring infra projects, both legally and financially. More and more global market players are considering Paris as a major infra marketplace for setting up their activities, since major international investors believe that infra is poised to become one of the fastest growing asset classes in private markets, despite the current economic challenges. In this context, Paris holds a benchmark position on the world stage. Paris is already recognized for the quality of its infra ecosystem, with increasingly diversified industrial and infra developers, as well as world-class banks in infra financing. 4 French banks rank among the top 10 mandated and lead arrangers with commitments exceeding 100 billion. We are also witnessing the rise of a new category of mid-cap market funds that are transforming the infra financing ecosystem, operating at the frontier of private equity. These funds have increased their assets under management tenfold over the last 5 years, reaching 50 billion euros. They represent the backbone of tomorrow's infra financing models, better suited to the deep transformation of our economies. These mid-market funds also support the development of new infra companies or infratechs. This new generation of players is strengthening the Paris financial ecosystem with startups, SMEs, and mid-cap companies providing innovative solutions. to conclude, I would like to tackle that Paris EUROPLACE is accelerating its initiatives to support these developments, with the creation of a task force to strengthen our positioning and attractiveness. First, analyzing the quantitative and qualitative evolution of this vast and complex market, particularly in green and sustainable projects. Second, clarifying and streamlining French and European project pipeline. Third, enhancing the capacities of the Paris Financial Center to attract international infra funds, as well as arrangers and advisors. Four, assisting emerging countries with institutional capacity building and project planning, which remain crucial. And five, contributing more proactively to the G20 agenda. We are once again delighted to welcome representatives from the G20 Infra Working Group and their South Africa presidency to today's inaugural day. And I address a warm welcome to our South African friends. We are more than ready to contribute to the international debate on shaping a new framework to define the conditions necessary to facilitate and attract investment. Finally, and before my last words, I am proud to welcome the 4th edition of the Infra Next Gen Awards for young infra professionals of the Paris Financial Centers, launched in partnership with Infravenir. The quality of the application in fields such as industrial engineering, project structuring, equity or debt, and legal expertise confirms that the Paris Financial Centers is well positioned to be a global leader in infra development, structuring, and financing. So I'm very excited to welcome you to this action-packed agenda co-created by Paris EUROPLACE, its members and sponsors, the French Treasury, and FinInfra, and I say hello to Jean Ben Saïd, the head of FinInfra. Today's discussions will take us through the evolution of the global infra market, the potential of new technologies, the impact of European Green Deal, and the progress in financial structuring. Last but not least, I would like to thank again all our partners and sponsors for the invaluable participation and support, and I wish you all a great day and a very successful week. Thank you very much.